I do. Now I see
You
a
see
Windows
Tableau on your
Explorer.
screen?
I see. Well, there's a Windows Explorer screen in front of it right now. Now it's Tableau.
Okay, perfect. Okay, we're at the Windows Explorer screen. I put that up so it'll be easier for y'all to see what I'm doing on the screen. Because we're talking. I'm talking to Laura and Philip, but I don't know why. Okay, whatever. Okay, basically we're going to start from the very beginning. We're going to talk through the files that we have here. And if you notice, there's some of them that say core state to state new file TWB, and then core state to state file TWBX. And if you notice, the ones that have the X have this little bitty folder icon next to them.
No.
It's a little folder. It's a little stripe.
Oh, down the icon.
Down the icon to make it look like it's a stripe.
Okay, down the left side of the icon.
The reason that distinction is important, and we're going to start from the beginning, is a file that has that stripe, that's a TWBX, means that all of the data for that file has been brought together. So that file is a packaged workbook, which means if you open it up, all the files, all the supporting documents are there.
So should I open that file?
Yes, open that file. And if it says core state-to-state file TWB and it does not have that, that means it's still looking for links somewhere else. Why is it looking at state to rows? Why didn't Laura yours load successful? It should look like. I did the update. Okay. Okay, Laura's going to do an update to 10.3, which I thought I did this morning. Okay, here, Laura, you have to...
Should I work on another computer?
Yeah, you work on this machine, because I know it works on this one. Okay, so basically we're going to open up the one that says core state to state. I'm just going to close it out just so you can see it. I'm going to double click on it. And what it's going to do is going to open up to the last page I was working on. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to where it says data source. Actually, what we're going to do is we're going to select all of these on the bottom. So see, I just keep my control. I just get all of these.
I can't keep up with you because I can't open that damn thing.
Okay, I'll be up in just a second. Let me get Laura set up. Actually, it's already loaded on your machine. Okay, so you are already loaded. So what we're going to do is just this is your mouse. So right here. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get Laura up to speed, and I loaded it on a machine that I thought had did the update, and it didn't. So we got another. I have another backup machine ready to go. Basically, on the screen, you see I have percentage of imports and all of these things on the bottom. I'm just simply going to delete all of those sheets.
Should I?
Yes, everybody should delete all of those sheets.
The one that say percent trade of imports?
Everything. Delete everything that's a...
delete.
Yeah, just
hit the delete.
Control on the bottom and just delete or hide sheet.
Delete. Map of Mississippi exports, delete.
Yeah, just delete all of them. Because we're going to...
delete isn't an option.
On the bottom. Here. Are y'all having problems with delete as well?
Should I hide? There's no delete.
You're not online. Yeah, just hide the sheet. I don't know why you... Are you in the... Load the TBX file, or I loaded the... Let me just close this out and I'll load the other one. No.
We're looking at the package sheet.
Yeah, work out the package sheet. Did anybody else have problems deleting the sheets?
I'm fine on my end.
I'm sorry?
I'm fine on my end.
Okay. So basically,
Why are we deleting sheets? Tell us why.
well, it's deleting sheets so we wouldn't have to build them all. Now I'm trying to figure out why did it fail to connect the CSV file? It's a package set should be connecting. Does anybody have the same thing where it's not connecting to their package set?
I don't know enough to tell you.
Oh, well here, I'm just going to close this out. And no. Package, it should still be there. There's the file. Okay. Well, we're just going to go through this, assuming that.
I mean, should I delete the ones that say sheet 12, sheet 13?
Yeah, but we'll just correct. If you can delete them, Laura.
Some of them I can't. Some of them I'm having to hide.
Well, some of them it just depends on where you're at.
Hey, Bruce.
Yeah.
I was able to delete all of the tabs except for the Mississippi flows to and from.
Right.
That's the only one.
I'm sorry?
That's the only one I can't delete.
Well, just leave that one up there. But basically, we're going to start with this metadata screen because this is the thing that's the most critical anyway.
Delete sheets. I'm still trying to delete crap.
Okay. Well,
tell us why we're opening a file and then deleting things immediately.
Because as soon as you get deleted, you're going to rename it, and that way you have the original one with all the stuff done at
That makes no sense to me. What you're saying gives me no background for anything. I don't understand why we're deleting.
Here, then just go to data source. We'll just go to data source.
What is data source?
Data source is all the way in your lower corner right here. This screen right here.
All right. I click on data source and it goes to where the data file state-to-state flows.
Okay, just go back and close it out and reopen it.
Okay.
I apologize to everybody. This is the question of me knowing how to do this for so long that.
What do I do here? It won't let me delete or hide.
Don't delete. Just go to this data source.
Okay.
Just don't worry about deleting anything. We just go to the data source and we'll talk to the data source. Does everybody see the screen that I have? State-to-state flows.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what it's doing. You're going to have to come around on this side because it's not.
That's fine. I was going to say.
It's trying to do.
No,
it's not. It's
not on the screen.
Well, no, it's sharing the other screen virtually, and that's what's messing up. Okay, so basically, we come to this first screen. And there's a lot of information here, and that's why I always tell people the most important part of any data set is understanding the data below it. So basically, we're going to start at the top. It says connections, and you're going to see two files, state-to-state, core, data abbreviation. And basically, if you click on it, it's going to give you some options. Edit the connection.
Click on which?
Select on state-to-state, and there's a little triangle button.
Which state-to-state?
That right there.
Okay.
And there's a little triangle button, and just edit connection, and that'll just show you where that file is. Normally, Tableau View, when it processes stuff, will put it in the repository. So just the way it handles it, you can change your repository setting, but every time it does something, it will save it to a repository.
Okay.
And
so do I close this out now?
Yeah, just close it out. The idea is you just showing you where the file is. The packaged workbook became unpackaged, and so the raw data is there. The reason you might want to do that is if I come to the state-to-state flows, I come to this, let me just go down. The reason I come here, I'll edit the connection. I can open this file up in a CSV editor. Now, it's going to be too big for Excel.
Hey, Bruce.
Yes?
I hate to be picky, but your mouse is not coming up on our screen, so you're kind of working as a ghost. So if you move a little bit slower, we might be able to follow where you're moving your mouse.
Okay, well, let me start from, thank you, Thomas. Okay, let me start from the beginning again. Okay, we're on the first, is this better?
Do you see his mouse now?
I'll just have to
His
pause.
arrow?
Okay, so we come to where it says connections, and so I'll say add. Okay, then we go to state to state core data. We're going to click on that. There's a little triangle that's and it shades the state to state. It gives you three options: edit connection, rename the connection, or remove the connection. For most of you, edit connection is probably all you're going to want to use, because if you click edit connection, it'll take you to the Explorer where that file is. So the reason being, if you want to modify the file in CSV or Access or whatever, you can modify it without modifying it in Tableau. So for instance, I open it up in Excel, and I say, oh, it'd be really nice if I had a sheet to do X, or a column here that would do Y. I can add it here, and then when I go to Tableau, it'll know to do something with that column. So depending on how you're managing your data set, there'll be sometimes I will do stuff in the Excel or CSV file. There's some things that I'll do in Tableau, depending on how I'm going to structure that data set, or if I'm going to link it to something else. And so, is this better, Thomas? Is this page better?
Thank you, Bruce.
No, I want to make sure y'all understand this, and I mean, I don't
So
need...
now hit cancel and get out?
Yes, just hit cancel and get out. And I thought I turned off idle yet. Just see if we can... Or right here. What button? Oh, right here. Just open it up. And just goes up in line, face. Good. Okay, so now we're back to our files, and now we see the state abbreviation. We can do the same thing. We can edit the connection. We can look at the file. We're going to open it up in Excel. And then we see the state, and this is the 2-digit FIPS. We see the state abbreviation, we see the state name, we see a geographic name, which I don't use in this particular data set, and I have a field here called ITTS. So that if we want to do some queries on just ITTS member states, we could. So basically, the reason I'm showing this field is Tableau is very particular in how you bring geographic names in. For instance, it'll do a lot better linking on the 2-digit postal code than it will on the state FIPS, which is a census basis. So if you notice, a lot of the linkages that I do are going to be on the 2-digit code, because that's how Tableau best handles state geography when you're mixing the data. So I'm going to close this out.
Now, I went to open it in Excel, but I accidentally opened it in Tableau. How do I close it out?
It doesn't make any difference. We're going to get to that one next, Laura.
But it's not where you are. How do I get out?
No. You just go to, okay, Laura got ahead of the class.
By mistake.
By mistake. There's always a fast learner. You go to I'm going down to where it says Files. What it'll do, it'll show the files that are in the directory upon which these files are located. Because this is a package workbook, it's going to show me the files. So I go to the state abbreviation, and there's going to give me this little bitty gray box that says View Data. If I click on that, it'll show me basically the rows. For instance, if it has no value, it becomes a null value. State, what state code, geographic. So when you're building your metadata, you will use this a lot just to go back and look at the information on the data. And so if I come to the state abbreviations, I come to this, I click on the state to state, I'll get the same information, but for that particular data set. So I'm just
Wait,
again.
when I click on the state to
No,
state,
when you click on it changes the bottom. See, Laura, if I go state to state, the file.
Oh, underneath it.
The file underneath it changes because that's the one that's in this data set. If I click on the state abbreviation, the file underneath it changes.
Okay. That's
So,
the file it's accessed.
That's right. So basically, what you have is these are the connections that you're using in this upper left-hand box. These are the files.
That those connections source.
That they source, that's correct.
Okay.
So then you come to this screen. Now, if you notice, Tableau View is very particular. There's a lot of color coding that goes into the data set. If you notice, there is a blue here that says state to state has a blue left margin border. You see where it has a blue margin border here, and then all of these data sets have blue margins. Yes. And then if you see the same thing with the orange for the state abbreviations, orange, orange, orange
on the column
headings. And the second thing that's interesting is there's some of these do not have headings. These were calculated in the data set. So when you're reviewing your data set, you will see I have some calculated fields. And they're calculated native in Tableau, so they're not tied to a particular database. So they do not have a color. Like the sum of tons does not have a border above it.
Oh, okay.
Because it is not tied to a specific data element. Those calculated.
It's a result of calculating things that are in one of these three sets.
Yes, these two sets. Yes, that's correct.
103. There's another one here.
I'll show you in just a second what these are. So basically, the value of Tableau View is because I'm using. If I go back to my core data set, I click on the state abbreviation, I go to the CSV.
Wait, where are you? How are you getting there?
Okay, I'm going back to the state to state.
You said state abbreviations.
I was ahead, Laura.
Now you're at state to state.
I'm at the state to state. I go down to the state to state flows, the CSV file underneath it. I click the view data.
View data.
When I click view data, the destination state and the state of origin are both in 2-digit state abbreviations. So, for most of us, looking at Texas or Canada, that's what CN is fine. But for a lot of people, I would like to be able to say Canada or Texas as a full name. So if I close that out, I come back to the clicking on the two Venn diagrams. There's a blue top Venn diagram, and I'm going to click on that first one, and it says destination state abbreviation equals the state US abbreviation. Now, and that way my destination state is now connected to a folder that says this.
What?
So I did the join, destination state.
What do you want me to click on?
No, there's nothing. Just click on this blue Venn diagram.
I did.
Okay. And just double click and you should see a destination state abbreviation.
Yeah.
And you should see state USAB abbreviation.
Yes.
What that does is that populates this data set, destination state name.
Oh.
So now I have a real name for the state as opposed to just Canada or Texas. I did the same thing here where I do the origin state and I put it to the state abbreviations and then I get this second file which is the origin state. So when I'm doing my queries, I may only want to use Texas, just whatever, or Canada just because of the first two, or Missouri. But
for the full name.
But if I want the full name to present to somebody, you had to put that into the data set. So we're adding things to the data set. Now, one of the things too is filters, and I have a year excludes null. That's,
how are you getting to that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I go to the upper right-hand corner. There's something called filters, and there's an edit. And what I did is I did an edit.
You clicked on
I click on edit, and what it does is it allows me to exclude variables in the data set. So if I'm only interested in looking at flows to and from a certain state, I'm only looking at certain commodities, I can put a global edit for all the extractions, and that'll help make it process faster. So the idea is you would use a global, like for instance, Cheryl, I'm in Missouri. I only want to look at Missouri stuff. I would just put Missouri filters here, and then everything below it would just be Missouri.
Mm-hmm. Can you show me how we're doing those? I understand the concept, or is that later?
Edit. I go to Edit.
In the upper right-hand corner.
In the upper right-hand corner. Now, I'm going to show you something.
No, I mean how to add a filter. Sorry.
I'm about to do that. This is a global filter. I'll go to Edit.
In the upper right-hand corner.
In the upper right-hand corner. I'm going to remove this one filter. So now I have a blank worksheet.
Well, how'd you do that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I go to Edit. And I click on Year.
Click on Year.
And I do Remove. And then OK. And then I'm going to say I'm going to add a filter.
How do you do that?
Okay, it says
so
add.
now up in the upper right-hand corner,
just don't close
add.
it. Yeah, just add there. Click there.
Okay.
And just say where it says add, go to that add.
Okay.
And then we're going to do a filter. We're going to see origin state name.
Click on it.
Click on it.
Okay.
And it's going to give us, remember we linked all of the states.
Do I need to click OK?
Yes, just click on it. Wait, I'm sorry, Laura. Now pick the state you want to select. So if you want to just select Missouri, you'd come here and you'd select Missouri. And this gets all the traffic that had an origin in Missouri.
So what do I do after I click Missouri?
Just hit OK.
Okay.
And so it's actually going to go back and reprocess. And if you notice, all the state names are now Missouri.
So say OK.
Hit OK.
All the origin states.
All the origin states are now Missouri.
Okay.
Now, if you don't like Missouri, no offense, Cheryl, you can always come back here and remove Missouri.
So I have to go to Edit now.
You go to Edit, and then you'd say...
Click on origin state name.
That's right, and you remove it.
Click Remove, and click OK.
And you can click OK.
And now it's all Texas.
Now, well, no, it's all Texas, but it's all the states.
Okay.
It's just remove Texas. For instance, if you wanted to, you could put a filter and say, I want to filter, but I only want to look at flows that originate in Missouri and Kansas.
Oh, wait.
I'm sorry.
Bruce.
I'm sorry?
I can't see where your mouse was when you to pull up this filter window, pop-up window.
Okay, do you see where my mouse is at filter in the upper right-hand corner?
No.
You can't see your mouse. You have to be really slow and really
slow. Okay, I see the word filters in the upper right corner.
Okay, so we go to add.
You see the word add?
Okay, I already have one there, so I need to delete the one I have.
Yeah, just delete the one.
Removed. Okay, add.
And we're going to add another filter, origin state name.
Click OK.
Click OK. And then we're going to add Missouri and Kansas.
Click Kansas.
So you click Kansas and you click Missouri.
Scroll down and click Missouri.
Scroll down and you're going to say OK.
Click OK.
And so all the variables here, then you hit OK again. Because you can add multiple filters. I can have a filter for year, I can have a filter for origin, I can have a filter for commodity, and a filter for whatever I want to do.
Okay.
And when you're using the FAF and the railway bill data, trust me, the FAF is 2 gigs and the railway bill data is 4. So then I do OK. And if you notice, all the origin now is Missouri, and there's a few Kansas records in there.
We can't see your origin state.
That's right here. I'm right here on origin state name.
Well, why is mine in a different place?
That was the origin state abbreviation. We did it on the origin state name.
Oh.
So, you don't have a laptop?
No.
I'll get you one. Just open that one up and we'll start loading it. So basically, is this better with the mouse, Thomas? Or are you not seeing the mouse at all?
It's Scott, Bruce.
Hey, Scott, I'm sorry. I thought you were Thomas Hill. I didn't mean to apologize. My apologies.
Okay, I just thought you might have had Scott Thompson in mind.
Enter Thomas.
Okay, Scott.
I'm still not seeing your mouse, but if you give me ideas of where you are on your screen, that might, verbally, I might be able to follow it.
Is okay. So now, what I did is I went to the original origin state. I went to the filter in the upper left-hand corner. It says filters, and there's underneath it says edit. And so I click on edit, and if you notice, it says origin state name, which is what Laura got confused, origin state abbreviation versus origin state name, and we just kept these two. Now, nothing against Cheryl, but we're going to remove that filter.
Click.
So you click on the filter,
and then click remove.
then click remove, and then you hit OK. And now you see all the other states in that same column. So basically, we're now looking at the data set, and we're going to go individually through each column, and we're going to talk about each data set. So basically, I'm at the origin state dash AB for abbreviation, and if you notice, it has a globe icon above it. Tableau View shows you metadata about the information. So a globe means it can be displayed on a map as a thematic or a thematic element. So it means it can be linked to some type of mapping. If it's an ABC, that's a string. And if it is a number, obviously, that you have different decimals where it could be a number whole or a decimal.
What does a string mean?
String is just text, a text string.
Oh, text string.
Mm-hmm. Did not go?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, the J is capital.
I did.
Then try it lowercase.
I did that
Again,
too.
whatever. Yeah, 215.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the wrong laptop. I'm sorry. I literally have 3 laptops that I brought, and everybody's using one or the other. So you have to forgive me from having to lean over and do a laptop. So basically, if you notice, it tells you whether it's geography. It tells you what data set it's from, again, reinforcing the blue line above it. And it tells you the state. Now, if I wanted to do a sort, it gives you this little button, and you'll see this a lot. Tableau View embeds this sort button, and you just click on the sort, and
well, tell us where you are. You're looking.
I'm looking at the origin
heading.
state. I'm looking at the heading. I'm still staying in that heading row.
Okay.
I'm explaining all the elements in the heading row.
So origin state dash AB to the right.
Right.
There's a little box.
There's a little box, and that little box is a sort box. So you can sort alphabetically within, the same on what you're doing.
Seems to be a toggle switch,
right.
basically.
And then I come up, there's a box above it, it's a little pyramid pointing down, and it's going to ask you whether or not you want to rename the data set. So it clicks on this origin state AB, and I could rename it there to something else.
Would it rename it in the actual file or only in this column heading?
It renames it. Tableau sits on top of your native data. That's
it's
why
not going to change.
It's not going to change.
It's only going to change it in this column.
In this column and all the other columns that reference this column. So that's one of the things, for instance, if somebody gives you a data set and it's a whole bunch of stuff that doesn't make any sense, you can go through and manually change the header.
To something more meaningful.
To something more meaningful, correct.
Okay. But it's not going to change your origin file.
No, it will not change the CSV or the Excel or the Access or whatever you use, the underpinning data.
Okay.
So that's the first one, is rename. Reset name takes it back to the name upon
You're
which...
clicking back on the triangle.
I'm clicking back, everything back to the triangle. The reset name puts you back to what the original file name was. So this is the default value that Tableau View inputted. So I do reset name, it says state of origin. and it would change it throughout the whole document. Now, for my sake, I don't like using state of origin because I notice I have an abbreviation. So I'm going to go back up to the upper left-hand corner. You're going to see a Tableau icon, an arrow pointing to the left, which is an undo, an arrow to the right, a save, and a refresh button. This undo button you will use all the time because Tableau is very user-friendly, and you can start clicking down the rabbit hole and you will wind up going, oh, how did I get to this data set? So I'm just telling you, the more you use Tableau, the more you will be using the undo button. So I'm going to click the undo button. As you notice, it restored it back to the origin state abbreviation, which is what I wanted. Going back to the triangle, again, I can copy the values. What we're going to use a lot is aliases, and I'm going to show you some of those later on. I can create a calculated field, which is some of the fields we see later on. I'm going to create a group, which I'll show you in just a second. Or I can split this file out and have this one column go to separate different columns, depending on if I have an abbreviation. Like, for instance, I have New Orleans, Louisiana. I can do a split here and put New Orleans in one and Louisiana in another. So all of these elements gives you a lot of flexibility about managing both the data and how you want that data to be presented throughout the dashboard. So the data source is where you really think about how do you want to name the actual element. So this is your metadata sheet. And if there's some things that are very helpful as you're building your data set, this previews the data. So you see the data in the columns.
What previews?
I'm sorry. If I go to the middle of the page, there is something that says preview data that says sort fields. And sort fields has two boxes on the left of it and a column, a pull-down menu that says modified. So if I go to the first box, it's a preview data set. I click on that box. It gives me the view that we have now, which shows me all the data elements in the table. So I get an idea of kind of what's there. If I go to the next box, which is lines, it's going to give me much more of a metadata, an EDR type of data set. And I've complained to Tableau that you can't really export this other than do screen captures. So I've actually got a complaint about their metadata structure. But so the idea is I say, okay, well, this is good, but I want to know which files came out of which files, which columns came out of which files. So the box that says modify, I click on that. It gives me an option. I can do it as a data source order, which is kind of the order of how things were put in. I can do A to Z ascending, which is the field name. Or I can do A to Z this ascending per table. So sometimes if you're looking for a particular file and you don't know what table it's from, you might want to do the other search, or if you're just trying to clarify which ones are out of which table, then you would use the A to Z ascending table. And that way it's a good quick way of looking at things. So we're going to go back to the data view, which is again the left side, the preview data source. And we're going to go through some more of these fields.
It's time for your break.
Oh, it's time for my break? Golly.
2 minutes.
Okay.
So I'm just saying, you got like a 2-minute warning.
Okay. Man, I'm having so much fun. Okay. What we're going to do is, for those of you who called in late, we're going to do a 10-minute break. And this is actually a good point to stop, Laura.
Okay.
So what we'll do is, for those who need a break, but if anybody is completely lost right now, let me answer catch-up questions. So at this point in time, I'm not going to do anything new, but does anybody have a catch-up question that they don't have
I'm
right
going
now?
to leave and go get...
No? Everybody's fine with
Hey,
Scott?
Bruce, amazing that I have a question, right?
I'm sorry, what?
I have a question, and I know you're shocked because I have a question.
Yeah.
Could you walk back early on when you went up to the Venn diagrams at the top and tell me what you did with those again? I was catching up at that point and I missed something.
Basically, if the original core data set has a state abbreviation.
Okay.
And what I'd like to do, as opposed to saying Mo, I want to put Missouri, or LA, I want to put Louisiana.
Okay.
Because if I'm presenting it to somebody, it makes it for a better presentation vehicle. But I have to put that data set together to the state-to-state flows. So I click on that blue chart, the blue diagram. It's going to give you a left option. Left means everything that's in the state-to-state flows is contained. So I'm not going to lose any data. And then what I do is I look at the destination state abbreviation, and I compare it to the state US abbreviation, and that gives me the crosswalk. So that's how I populated the destination state name, was by doing that. And then if I come to the one below it, it's the same thing, where I did the origin state, I did the state abbreviation. Now, one thing I didn't mention is by doing it, I have to do them separate, because if I would have added this file to this data set, let me just show you real quick. If I was going to add it, I drag it up to here. It puts another filter, and so it'll try to put a filter. Let's see. Yes, a lot of drag and drop. So I come here, and if I did not make it separate, and I said, well, I'm just going to modify both the origin and the destination, then what will happen is only will keep the data that has both of those criteria. So you're going to wind up losing, so it's only the states that the destination and origin state match are going to stay. So you have to be very careful when you do these joins that you don't, for a second. When you're doing these joins, you don't put in a join that's going to actually conflict and reduce your data. So you have to be very careful how you do those. Cheryl, did I lose you?
A little bit.
Basically, when you do the joins are to help add data elements or to add additional reference materials to your data set that may not be in the original data set.
Okay.
So for instance here, I have the origin. I wanted to add the real names, but if I put them on the same line or the same one, it would have restricted the filter. And I've done that before by putting in filters, multiple filters, and winding up getting like 5 variables when you know there's 5,000 there.
So what is the difference between, when I click on that, the inner, left, right, and outer?
Okay, inner means the things that are only in both data sets are retained.
Okay.
The left means everything that's in the state-to-state flows is retained, as well as any variables that are on the right-hand side that correspond.
Okay.
The left means everything on the right-hand side is retained, but only those records on the left-hand side that match.
What?
That one would confuse me, but I have a feeling I don't know that
No, well, let's go back and look at the data. On the state abbreviation, I only have 52 state abbreviations.
Right.
So if I just did state abbreviations and I did a write, it's only going to grab 52 records from the state-to-state flows. It's not going to grab the whole data set because it's just trying to match those 52 records. The state-to-state flows is your primary data set. This is the one you want to make sure everything hangs off of.
Right.
So that's the one you make sure all that data is retained through the joins.
Why is the same file shown twice?
It's shown twice because they're actually 2 different joins. If I had done destination abbreviation and destination origin, I did that when you stepped out, it only restricts it to those states that meet both the criteria, where it's the same origin state and the same destination state. It only because it's looking at the codes that match for both the destination and the origin. I'll just do it real quick so you can see it. Okay, I'm here. I'm going to state abbreviations. I'm going to add a new clause. I'm going to do origin state, same thing, state abbreviation. And if you notice, origin state, West Virginia.
What did you just do? I don't know. I don't know what you just did.
I just did, oh, I'm sorry. I just the origin state, destination state.
So that would, if you did that origin destination, that would only give you freight that's flowing within the state?
Well, the thing...
So is one origin and one destination?
Yes.
Is that what it is?
Right. And,
okay.
And the reason I do it that way...
So the top
I see.
which?
Destination.
And I can see that by doing the drop-down arrow?
Uh-huh. Now, this is...
It says generate field name?
No, just click on the blue Venn diagram.
In the middle or the right or the left?
Just in the middle, just on that.
So we have data source destination, state abbreviations. Right. Then if I click on the lower one, data source origin state. Okay.
Right. Now, the reason I do it this way, and Travis, if he's still on the phone, would appreciate it, because if my state abbreviations had any numbers in it and I brought it together, it actually duplicates the numbers. And that was something we ran into when we were doing...
Is there a reason you can't join state to the state abbreviations and have origins and destinations?
You can in this data set because there's no actual numbers, but you have to be careful because in certain data sets you get a multiplication where it'll make that match.
Lost me. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. Basically, I like to do one-to-one like this, one link, because it's easier to do the data review, and it's easier to understand if there's any change.
Okay.
If you start putting multiple joins, which you can,
it gets messier.
Sometimes it gets messier, and sometimes you can have a multiplication where the join is going back and grabbing multiples, depending on how the data set was structured. So it's going to grab this field and this field, but because this field has all these other multiple variables, you get a multiplication effect here. That was what Travis and I discovered when we were in Arkansas going through this. So for me, to keep it clean,
you're joining the state-to-state flows to the state abbreviation for the origins, and then a separate join for the destination.
Right. It's just, for me, it's easier to go back and review it and to make sure that the join was in place. And you can get very complicated with joins and data blending, but the problem becomes you lose track after a while of which one went with which data set or how'd you link this one to that one. So this makes it real easy for me to go back through and look at what specific link.
To basically track the path of the data.
That's right.
Okay.
So.
Is there any way to, does it give a signature of the joins that you've done so you can track all the joins? How do you undo a join?
You just go...
You just look at it.
You just look at it and undo it, yeah. Yeah,
you can add, you can keep adding.
But you can keep adding, but again, the more joins you put in, either you're trying to be restrictive, but you have to, but that was a problem I ran into early on was Tableau. If there was, like the state abbreviation, say I had 3 rows for state abbreviation, well, it would take all 3 rows and bring them in, and now I've got a multiplication problem in my data.
So it's not going to take like a select from a selection?
No, it takes the whole thing.
Okay.
So that's why you have to be very careful with the joins. So,
the data we're working with right here, this set is from the core, so this is only waterway data, right?
This is only waterway data, and the reason I picked this data set is because, Cheryl, if I go back to the state-to-state core data set, I look at the state-to-state flows, and I go to the view data, which is the little button, so I go to the state-to-state core number, the file and the connections, I click on the file name, which is now highlighted, and I go to the little button that says show me the data. If you notice, it's only got commodity, destination state, whether or not it's an origin, domestic movement, state of origin, year, and tonnage. So it's a very small data set, but it has all the elements that are in the FAF. all the elements that are in the railway bill data. So if you can understand the structure of this type of commodity flow data set, this is very scalable to the bigger data sets.
Okay, question, foreign has a 4 or a 5.
We haven't gone through all the files yet.
Okay, sorry.
Because that's going to get into grouping and aliases, and that's what that was what I was going to work on next.
Okay, I keep jumping down rabbit holes. I'm sorry.
No. Trust me. In fact, I appreciate this because the people tomorrow will get a really good education. No, but the thing for me, Cheryl, is I need to make sure y'all understand how I built this. And because the last thing I want is to put all this time and effort into building this tool, and it's intimidating to the point that you don't know how to use it. And that doesn't serve either of us any good. But Tableau, once you get into it, and once I show you how to manipulate it, it is really point and click paradise, because you're just going to keep pointing and clicking and dragging and dropping, and pretty soon I just got to get you over the hurdle. And so by using this small data set, I know I'm about to get back to it. By using this small data set, it helped me for y'all to learn to focus on a very small data set that has all the elements of a commodity flow, which would be an origin, a destination, a commodity, and a year. So anyway, I'm going to go get my coffee. I'll be right back.